welcome to this week's episode of Bridge to Faith. I'm your host, Yusuf Estes, and for the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about faith, what it is, how you can get it, and how it applies to today's world. And then following that, we'll have somebody's particular story of their bridge to faith. All of that and more is coming up right here. Let us talk about when I was a child growing up. And I remember that when I was a little bitty guy, even before I went to school, I had a real interest in God. I would think about God, and I would wonder, what is God like? And what would it be like to be able to see God or to, be close to God? And I had a very good feeling about the Almighty. And of course, as a Christian, growing up and going to the Sunday school all the time, and my parents were quite religious, my grandparents, all my family very, very involved in the church, to the extent my grandfather even laid the cornerstone for the church there in Ohio. And so I never tried really to think about any other religion, because it wasn't religion per se that I was thinking about. I was thinking about God himself. I want to make God happy with me. I want to do the things that pleases him, And so even as I got older and I saw a lot of things that, you experience as a child, you become disappointed or disillusioned along the way in certain things. For instance, I remember the experience that happened when I came home from school one time, and it was December, and I was all excited, and I said, Mom, you know what happened in school today? She said, what? I said, Mom, you got to go straighten those kids out. You got to straighten them out. Go tell them. And she said, what? She was washing dishes, I said, they said there's no Santa Claus. And she never even looked up. You know what she said? Don't tell your sisters. I thought, oh. Then I thought maybe my mother went over to the dark side. How come she doesn't believe in Santa Claus anymore? What happened? And it was that occasion that I began to realize that even though you think you can trust something or believe in something, you have to use your own brain sometimes, and you have to qualify things. And even though, and you stop and think from a child's point of view, my mother told me the same story, my father told me the same story, my preachers, my teachers, my friends, my relatives, my grandparents, everybody told me there was Santa Claus. Everybody said he was a big guy with a white beard, with a reindeer, with a sleigh. He comes down the chimney. Everywhere you went, they all had the same story. In fact, they were so organized and so well presenting this, it's actually better than the way Christianity is presented, because you go in this church, they got one opinion, that church another opinion. Some say this about God or that about Jesus. But when it came to Santa Claus, everybody's totally united, and the whole thing is a farce. The whole thing is nothing but a big joke. Now, I know they told me, well, it's the spirit of Santa Claus and what it means. What's the spirit of what? And it means nothing. The whole thing's a fabrication. In fact, not all Christians celebrate Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, Christmas and Easter and all the rest of it. But the majority do. And what my point is to mention this is, as I grew up, I had to start realizing that you cannot take everything that everybody says. Even though it seems like the majority are saying something, even though it appears that there's a consensus or agreement all the way, still there are times when you have to say, okay, it's time for me to analyze how I think about this thing and use my own logic and see where I stand with it. I think you can understand where I'm going, because throughout my life, as I became a teenager and then older, I would still try to find my way to get closer to God. Find out, what is my purpose in life? What am I doing here? What can I do to put myself closer to God?
Interesting thing for us as Muslims is that prophets are different from messengers, because all the prophets and all the messengers are prophets. All of them are from the same. But there are those who are also called Rasul in Arabic language. It means messengers. You know the difference? Well, as I said earlier, the prophets, we know them because of their message they carry, and also we know them because they have had some kind of experience with Allah, or through his angel. He has an angel named Jibril or Gabriel who communicates to the people. And when this person, whoever it might be, starts to get what's called revelation, he starts to tell the people, there's only one God, worship him. But then when he comes with a book or a scripture or anything which is written down, then what happens? He becomes a Rasul. And that's the difference between a prophet and a messenger. Or in Arabic, Nabi, that's a prophet, and Rasul, that's a messenger. Now, to help the ones who don't know a lot of Arabic, I like to sometimes give a little something extra here so you can get the idea. In English, we have a word called epistle. That means a message that you give somebody, like email. You know, you give somebody an epistle. Whoever brings it is called an apostle. Apostles give epistles. And Rasuls give arsala. So the word in Arabic, arsala, is the message. Everybody got that?
Yes. Yes.
What's the message? Who remembers? What is the message?
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Very good. We didn't come to that second part yet, but we're going to get on to that. Because each of these prophets has a name. Now, some of them, we know their names exactly. Some of them have been referred to by what they did, and others we don't know their name. Can you guess how many prophets there were? Do you think there were more than 50? Think there's more than 100? Do you think there were more than 1,000 prophets that came? How many do you think? How many?
There were 25 prophets.
How many?
25 prophets.
Prophets, we have more than 124,000. Wow. But the point we're trying to make is that always throughout history, there were these prophets who came, and they warned their people. But not all of them brought books, or not all of them had a Quran, but all of them carried the same message. The message is what? You only worship Allah and nothing else. Make sense? Now, sometimes people ask me about the prophets, and they'll say, well, are they perfect? Well, I tell them, if you mean by that they can't make mistakes, first of all, the only one who doesn't make any mistakes is Allah. And his angels, of course, they have to obey Allah, so they're not going to make any mistakes either. But from the jinn, all of them will make mistakes. And from human beings, all of them make mistakes. So we know that anybody who is a prophet is a human being, makes mistakes. So they're not perfect, but they never make the big mistakes of not understanding the message that they have. La ilaha illallah. So all the prophets, they know this, and they never break that. They always stay away from worship of other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me explain something else, and I think this will help you. You see, we have around us right now many trees, and we have plants, and we have many things all over. See all of this? It's beautiful, yeah? I love it. Do you love it? But I don't go to this tree over here. I don't go to the plants, and I don't ask them for anything. So if you see somebody talking to trees, it might be it's okay, because some people like to do that. But if they start getting real serious and asking, oh, tree, I need this, and I need something else, how the tree can help you? Tree can't walk. Tree can't go anywhere, right? So why would you ask this tree? Then, what about these rocks around here? Those are nice rocks, round rocks, square rocks, flat rocks, big rocks, little rocks. But would you ask a rock for something? I don't think so. What's a rock going to do? He can't move at all. At least the tree can move around in the wind a little bit, do a little bit of a dance or something, huh? But a rock, he's not going anywhere. You're going to ask a rock, excuse me, rock, how do I get from here back home? I'm lost. And what, a rock going to say anything? No. So why, if you can't ask a rock for directions, you sure wouldn't pray to a rock, would you? But some people pick up rocks and they carve the rocks. They change the rock, make it look like something. They said, now pray to it. Ask it. Still can't help them, can it? Not only it's bad rock, this rock is defaced. And it's worse off than it was. So anybody who's asking from a rock or a stick or a stone or a bone, some people are looking at bones and thinking the bone can help them. They go to bones of dead people and they're asking, oh, I need this, I need that. Why? He's dead. If anybody needs him, he needs it more than you. He doesn't even have any skin. You're going to ask the bones? I don't think so. Doesn't make sense, does it? I don't think so. The beautiful thing about this message that comes with all these prophets is that children understand it the best. Little children, the smaller children, they understand it clear. When you say there's only one God and you worship Him. Make sense? You understand it? Right? I understand it. It's very simple. Another interesting thing about it, that whenever any prophet talks to the people, he never lies. He always tells the truth. This is a characteristic of the prophets. Also, they don't commit any major sin. So that's why some people say prophets are perfect. Compared to me, they're all perfect. Because I make mistakes. I make sins just like any human being. But what should we do? That's what the prophets told us too. If you made a mistake, prophets told you how to fix the mistake. All you have to do is go back to Allah. Go back to Allah. Ask Allah. Then you can't ask the rock, the stick, the stone, the bone. You can only ask Allah. And when you ask Allah, He likes that, and He'll give you answers. He'll guide you. He'll show you the way. But a person has to want it. If you really want to be guided by Allah, all you have to do is say, Allah, guide me. Now, again, you could say, well, then what do I need a prophet for? Well, you wouldn't have known that if the prophet didn't tell you, would you? Because many people have tried to figure this out. Some very smart people, very intellectual. Oh, yeah, they got degrees, more than a thermometer. They got so much brains, even their professors. But they never figured it out yet. They keep thinking. Is it like this? No, maybe it's like that. No, it's like this. Maybe the God is over here. No, maybe God is that. No, maybe I'm the God. People say many crazy things. It's not until guidance comes. And Allah sends prophets to guide the people. But there's a lot of interesting stories about what happened to these prophets when they tried to give the message to the people. One of the key rules about being a prophet is to recognize that you cannot make the people accept what you're going to say. So the prophets had a tough job. Tough job. Because when they went to the people, like, well, if I come to you and I said, okay, everybody get up. Maybe you'll get up. Maybe. If I said, everybody, let's go eat ice cream. You'll say, okay, that sounds good to me. Let's go eat some ice cream, right? But when the prophets came and said, let's just worship God by Himself, nothing else, then what you're going to see? Big problem. They say, why? Why should I? You say, well, it's good for you. Prove it. And you say, well, how about this and this? And they'll say, I don't want to hear. So you can't force people to understand, but you can try. And what you do, you tell them what you know about the message. The message of what? Worship Allah. Give everything to Allah. Because if you give it all to Allah, Himself, one, God, then inshallah, you'll be in good shape. That's the first and foremost. Now,